when you deal with your company half of the year. But these are things that on our personal journey amongst our founders managed to take care of. And what we want to do is, we are not a traditional business. We knew that once we have the user base, once we build the solution at a certain to a certain quality, we would get a valuation that we aspire to ascertain. And this doesn't come with easy decisions along the way. Like 5 months ago, we got a massive offer. And this was somebody established in the education industry from America coming and saying, I'll give you this much of money, sell the entire business. Your name will not be there. I will give you a salary for 12 months and then you will become a part of the big solution. And the offer was this much, our bank account was this much. And we had to make a decision, is it early? Is it, we had a conversation amongst our founders. And we unanimously decided, okay, we'll reject the offer. And these are things that we feel like are major successes, because we know that somebody is willing to pay this much. So we are doing something absolutely right. Even though we are not getting month-on-month revenue, we know that if in the worst case scenario, we can call this person or somebody similar to that person, and we can still get that value. So sometimes reasonably intelligent people in this market, in the business community, does not understand the concept of valuation and how these startups actually get valued. Lotifers, I think, is a good example of this as well. And if you are willing to burn cash to achieve your goal and achieve your valuation and ensure that you're actually giving impact to your users, you are winning. And in our case, we have decided that we will raise fund at a certain point, which will be which we have internally decided. And until that, we will be bootstrapping. And this is something that we are okay to do, but knowing very well what it can become. And down the way, somebody might have a competitive solution may come. Something else may happen, markets, our COVID-19 might come, things would happen. But it does not mean that you can't be flexible. You can be flexible, but still with the larger goal in mind. And for us, in terms of funding, we have completely bootstrapped the company. And we would probably raise a fund whereby we feel like, okay, this is a very good time. And that might be next year, or that might be Q4 of this year. But if you feel like you're getting the value, make sure you get the maximum value. And if you feel like you need the funding early to do something amazing that you feel like you might miss the train, go for it. You don't need to be doing what we are doing and waiting for it. Don't miss the train, raise funds, achieve it, and then go bigger again. In the case of our journey, we've managed to bootstrap. We were able to fund using our other businesses, sales generated from Hologo. And the bigger picture, I feel like, is valuation. And valuation comes when you create impact. And we are focused on creating impact.
Thank you, Eedham. When you mentioned Loti files, we heard the news, right? We heard the news.
And so many people called me and said, what is Loti files? What do they do? How come $9 million? This is why I'm saying reasonably intelligent people need to understand this concept. I feel like many people are quite alien to this concept, but it is very much the reality in the world.
Eedham, I have to put one word in there, and we're not even making any money.
Yeah, I mean, somebody might say, okay, why do that? Why do that? I can just put a building. and put a 10-story building or a resort or something like this. But I'll tell you, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 resorts combined may not reach the valuation of Lottie files or Hologo or a game that's been developed. This is what people need to understand, and people need to believe in it. Then only you will have the energy to go for it, right? So this is a new concept. Before we were fishermen, then tourism came, and tourism people business, the fishermen didn't understand. Just like that, technology businesses sometimes might not be understood by other businesses, but it is still a very much a reality. So once you get that, you will be okay with burning money as long as you reach the goal.
Okay, so
And
let's hear from Nattu more about funding for Lottie files. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a very interesting part because it was, again, Lorifas was the first company that that I went out and looked for funding again as well. So Lorifas was the one that was, I think I was exposed to more of the series of funding and the whole detail of it. Before that, I was very much into both the product and the design and all of that too. And I think like Shafiu mentioned earlier as well, as a founder, this is one of the areas that you need to focus on. And so imagine like now you're building an airplane while you're kind of jumping off the cliff, while you're building the product and then all of that to bring people in. You have to figure a way either to make money or bring in investors as well. And what you don't have is time. But let's say funding takes time. Even in our case, it usually is like no funding is less than 6 months. Even if it's a grant, in some cases it takes a while. I think Eedham mentioned about compliances. There's lawyers involved. There's like ins and outs. There's due diligence that comes in. But I think the early stage, one of the things that investors look for is actually the people and the team. Can this team execute the idea that they have? And can the team has the power to pivot, get the learnings, and then make this to a larger company? And that's the hope that investors comes in. And I think that's one thing again Shafiu mentioned as well. You being able to pitch with confidence that what you're building is, or you understood your problem solution and your team can actually build it. That is very, very important. As you know, any investor comes in with FOMO. That means they've got this really amazing opportunity to invest in a company that could be the next Facebook, next LinkedIn, next Tesla, or Hologo to ourselves or Lorifas. If they're in early, then they can actually grow and double their wealth or money, right? And if they miss it, then they just lost this opportunity. And so as founders, initial sort of like pitches is very much based on that FOMO, that you have all the ingredients for you to actually build and scale this to a larger company. You have that passion and drive to go and do that. How would you reach out to, I would say, funds outside of the Maldives, given that there's very much less angel investments and then almost no VCs out in the Maldives? I think after the whole COVID lockdown and everything, the world became more connected. That means investors were looking for that next Facebook or next, for example, Canva came from Australia. So they are now looking at everywhere, regardless of where you are. If you have the idea and then if you pitch it right, then people are willing to put that money. One thing that take away for us was obviously even on the seed, like now you have like the capital. Now you get the seed funding, the Series A, Series B, and then all of that. In Lorifa's case, we had the Series A plus B. So in that case, even for seed round, you will have to pitch to a lot of people. And this is how you learn. You actually build that grade. You get that confidence because you're repeating the same word again and again. But how can you improve and grow? It's actually coming from feedback. Imagine you just pitched to an investor and they said, not interested. They just gave you a no. I think one question that we asked was, what should we do to make you say yes? Or what is missing here? or what is mostly kind of interesting for you. Get the feedback. So for the next one, you can keep on improving it. Your product still can, it doesn't mean you need to go and change the product. It just means that you need to go and iterate and improve on your story so that you can give a better story. Fundings are raised based on stories and goals. It's not about what's working today. It's about how this is going to be tomorrow. So that is again helpful. Sometimes it's, you might even not know what is the money that you're actually looking for. So a lot of times you could even ask like, hey, this is what we have. This is where we are going. What do you think as an investor that we should be asking for? Because they see about like 30, 40 new pitches every week. They see ideas, they see problems, they see what people are asking for. So it's very easier for them to put them in a bucket or in a range or in industry at the stage and tell you what they actually know about it, because they are the industry experts, right? So always ask that feedback and go apply. In our case, we actually started, we applied just like how Shafiu did with Epic Migrant. We even applied for Adobe's design fund. And with the Adobe's design fund, now we've got validation. We actually took it to another investor saying that, hey, Adobe is now in this as well. Why don't you put money in, right? So those cases, I remember for Series A, we did about 20, 30 pitches to investors. And these are like, they're going to say no. They're going to say no. That's the default state again as well, but you got to be like building that up. And here's a way to think about it. Obviously, whenever somebody says no, this is going to hurt, right? So how do you actually overcome this? And that was like one of our mentors who actually came from Founders Institute as well, mentioned that when somebody says no, that means this is not their flavor. So if you think about, let's say, ice creams, if everybody liked chocolate, then the world of ice cream would be so boring. So if somebody says no, that means, like Eedham mentioned earlier as well, this is not what they're looking for. This is not their flavor. They just say no. Don't overthink it. Go for the next one. Eventually, you're going to find that investor that is not only putting in money, their heart and sort of passion, their support into really helping you grow as a company, as a person, helping you get the connections and then all of that. They really act like a partner rather than just like somebody who puts in money to get the return in 10 years or 5 years later, right? So this is one area that I could go on, talk about for longer and longer and longer, but I think it's good to have somebody that within the team that can actually be that sort of like really confident with the storytelling and then present it. In my case, I was very, very fortunate to have my partner, Kay, who comes from that marketing sort of M&A banking side of things. That was really, really helpful while I focus on the tech and design, and both of us come in our stories together, give that sort of confidence to anybody who came in that this is the team that is going to build the next generation or next version of Flash or bring in this motion to the world, right? So that's where we are. Without even making money within the company. We have, like I mentioned, 117 amazing team across all of these countries, really, really crushing it. And this year is finally, we are just launching our services to actually make money. And like Eedham said, do we have that traction right now? Do we have enough people? Have we created enough value for people to come again and again? And then now, since you've created value, do you have the capacity or skill set to actually go and capture that value? That means, are they willing to put money on the thing that you actually created the value for, right? So this is like a whole journey, right? Within that, there's more to go. Of course, we are not ending in here. Our goal is to actually push this and become, let's say, $1 billion company. We won't settle for anything less. And I think the entire team is working towards day and night to reach to that goal as well. So super excited for this. If anybody can do like, and here's something that we have within the SACE. If we were able to push through all of these struggles, the ones that are gonna come out of the Maldives and like right after us is gonna reach to even bigger heights. I've seen companies who were pitching to Microsoft and others right within Maldives. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that within Maldives. We did outside it. But now we are seeing a lot of startups going and kind of like